Let's dive right into this explainer and tackle a deeply relatable mystery that, honestly, I think pretty much every single one of us has faced at some point. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right? You do absolutely everything right. You take a long, thorough shower, you use your favorite deodorant, you put on clothes straight out of the wash, and yet, somehow, halfway through your morning commute, you still feel just a little less than fresh. It's incredibly frustrating. You followed all the rules of hygiene to the letter, but the math just isn't adding up. Well, today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and how to actually fix it by looking at the things we interact with every single day.
So, picture this. You step out of a hot shower, you reach out to dry off, and suddenly you realize your towel is still slightly damp and cold from yesterday. Or, maybe you grab the jacket you're planning to wear, and the second you put it on, it hits you with a subtle, lingering smell of yesterday's commute or that restaurant you ate at a few days ago. The shower did its job. Your body is clean. So why do you still feel stale? The answer actually lies in a massive, widespread misunderstanding of what it genuinely means for the items we use to be clean. And this right here brings us to a crucial paradigm shift. We need to completely separate the idea of an item being clean from an item being ready to use. Now, for most of us, clean just means an item went through the washing machine, or, like with the towel, that it's only touched a clean, freshly showered body. But just because an item looks clean or meets that basic definition does not mean it has fully reset for its next use. For something to be truly ready to use, that item must have completely dried out and returned to a perfectly neutral state. If it hasn't, well, it's holding on to moisture. And where there's moisture, there's eventually going to be a total loss of freshness.
Because we so often miss this vital distinction, we fall right into what we call the fragrance trap. Just think about the sheer chaos of a modern morning routine for a second. You've got your body wash with its own scent, then your shampoo adds another layer, next comes the lotion, the deodorant, the laundry detergent baked into your clothes, and finally, to top it all off, a couple sprays of perfume or cologne. When you layer all of these pleasant but totally competing scents on top of each other, you're leaving only a tiny little sliver of room for actual neutral freshness. It becomes literally impossible to tell if you're truly fresh. More often than not, we're just building this giant wall of scent to cover up a problem that we haven't actually dealt with.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that we need a fundamental mindset shift. The next time you're feeling a little stale, before you ask, what product should I add or how much more perfume do I need to spray, try stopping and asking yourself, is there something on me or around me that hasn't actually been reset yet? Like if a shirt smells old, you have to deal with the shirt. If your shoes are damp, you have to deal with the shoes. Look, fragrance is wonderful, but it works best as a finishing touch. It should be a deliberate choice you make, not your primary tool for desperately covering up a failed hygiene routine.
This perfectly tees up a highly practical principle inspired by Japanese etiquette, which is known as the reset cycle. This is simply the necessary time and airflow that an object needs to dry completely and return to a neutral state before you use it again. We always tend to think that freshness exists only on our skin, but the reality? Freshness actually travels with the things that touch your skin. If the objects touching your clean body haven't finished their reset cycle, your personal freshness is compromised the very second you interact with them. Let's apply this to a few everyday blind spots in our own homes, because it really reveals some habitual mistakes we all make. Take the towel, for instance. The classic mistake is leaving it folded over a bar or bunched in a pile where it just stays cool and damp in the middle. The fix? Spread it out with proper airflow until it's completely bone dry. Then, look at the bath puff or shower sponge. We use it to get clean, so we just automatically assume it is clean, but leaving it bunched up in a wet shower corner completely halts its reset cycle. It absolutely needs to hang in a place where it can drain effectively. And oh, the closet. If your clothes are packed so tightly that grabbing one shirt pulls out 3 others with it, there is literally zero airflow in there. The incredibly simple fix is to just pull out those out-of-season items so the hangers can actually move, allowing any residual moisture in the fabric to evaporate naturally.
But you know what? Perhaps our biggest blind spot of all is the washing machine. We fall so easily into a laundry habit. That's when we find one convenient setting, usually just tossing everything in on cold, and use it for absolutely everything. T-shirts, heavy towels, delicate blouses, sweaty workout gear, it all goes through the exact same routine just because it's easy. But true freshness requires moving to the laundry load need. This means actually acknowledging that a thick, heavy towel holds moisture very differently than a lightweight shirt, and, dare I say, actually checking care labels based on the specific fabric's requirements. Our laundry settings should always follow the specific load's needs, not just our lazy habits.
And if you don't adjust your laundry to the load's needs, well, this is exactly what happens.
We've all experienced this one. You grab a shirt, it smells totally fine on the hanger, straight out of the wash. But 20 to 30 minutes after you put it on, it suddenly starts smelling stale. Why does that happen? Because the strong, pleasant scent of your laundry detergent is literally tricking your brain. It perfectly mimics actual cleanliness, but once your body heat begins to warm up that fabric, those faint, trapped old smells start coming right back to the surface. It proves, without a doubt, that a detergent scent only means fragrance is present, not that the item is truly clean. The fix is to check the care label, ensure the item is fully drying before you put it away, and wash it properly. Don't just spray it with perfume and argue with the fabric all day long.
All right, next up, we have to talk about footwear. Welcome to the shoe trap. Your body just beautifully reset in your morning shower, right? But if you immediately slide your clean feet into a pair of closed shoes that haven't had time to rest, the odor problem returns instantly. Wearing the exact same closed shoes every single day traps heat and moisture inside them. Because the inside of a shoe naturally gets way less airflow than the environment around it, wearing them continuously entirely prevents them from returning to a drier, ventilated state. The shoes just simply never get a chance to reset.
So how do we actually fix it? The good news is, mastering the shoe reset does not require some super complicated daily ritual. It's incredibly straightforward. First, if you can, simply rotate between two pairs of shoes so each pair gets a full 24-hour day to rest. Second, when you take them off, loosen the laces or open them up wide to let air physically move through the shoe. If you need to, go ahead and pull out the insoles so they can air out completely. And here is the golden rule. Never ever put damp shoes directly into a dark, closed closet and just expect fragrance to magically fix them. Just making these minor little changes will completely revolutionize this part of your routine. Outside the bathroom and the laundry room, we run into an entirely different challenge, which is known as fabric memory. We really often forget that our clothes are essentially just big sponges that absorb the environments around us. That jacket you wore to work? Yeah, it remembers the hot commute, the kitchen air at the cafe, the food smells from the restaurant, and your own body heat, and it remembers all of this much longer than you do. If you come home and sit directly on your bed in those exact same commute clothes, you are halting the reset cycle of your own home environment instantly.
To combat this fabric memory, we really need to master the art of creating transition points. First off, do not let sheer momentum dictate your evening routine. When you walk through that front door, instead of letting 1 minute on the couch turn into 20, consciously create a break. Change out of those hot or damp commute clothes immediately. Now, you don't necessarily have to wash a jacket after just one single wear. That would honestly be exhausting. But creating a clear transition point by hanging it up to air out, rather than shoving it straight into a crowded closet, gives that fabric a definitive ending to its day. You absolutely must let the actual physical condition of the clothes dictate the next step.
Stepping back from these daily tasks for a second, this entire approach actually reflects a really profound cultural philosophy. It's an aspect deeply ingrained in Japanese etiquette. The realization that while cleanliness is highly personal, we very rarely use spaces completely alone. Whether you're stepping into a crowded elevator, sitting next to coworkers in the office, or just relaxing on the couch with your partner, your personal freshness is just one small part of a much larger shared space.
This shift in perspective completely reframes how we can view our personal care routines. On one hand, you have cleanliness as a performance. This is when you force heavy, overpowering fragrances onto everyone around you to loudly broadcast, "Hey, look at my hygiene." But on the other hand, we have cleanliness as awareness. This is a quiet, respectful approach. It's about noticing the boundaries of the people around you, respecting the shared space, and just being mindful of how your physical presence enters a room. It shifts the entire goal from being the strongest smelling person in the room to being someone whose freshness doesn't aggressively demand anyone else's attention.
So I really want you to try putting this into practice tonight with a 48-hour freshness challenge. Here is how it works. Step 1. Choose just one thing in your routine that normally makes you reach for the extra perfume or deodorant. Maybe it's a specific towel, your gym shoes, or a certain shirt you love. Step 2. Stop and locate the actual source of the issue. Is that item damp? Is it stale? Step 3. Instead of spraying it down, give that specific item the proper time, space, and airflow it actually needs to reset. Finally, Step 4. For the next 48 hours, use fragrance only as a deliberate choice because you genuinely like the scent, not as a frantic cover-up operation. Tackle the source before the scent.
I want to leave you with this absolutely fantastic thought. Freshness does not need to announce that it is there. When you finally deal with the things that are stubbornly holding on to yesterday right at their source, by giving them the time and the air they need to fully reset, everything else in your routine can just stay comfortably, effortlessly quiet. So, take a quick look at your closet and your bathroom and ask yourself, what is the very first thing you are going to properly reset tonight?